Listen, you have been their teacher since birth, right? So you can keep going. In fact, I believe that you're their best teacher. You know them inside and out, right? You know their heart, you know how they might learn best. And if you don't, you will learn.
Welcome. It's the Colorado Homeschool Podcast, interviewing experts, parents, graduates, all here to help you navigate this incredible journey called homeschooling. And if you're looking for resources, tips, and help, go to check.org. You'll find what you need. In the meantime, subscribe, follow along. Well, good morning or hello, whatever time it is. We're so happy you're here. I'm your host, Kashia Davis, and we have Alexis Krutsch here, who is a support group leader from Arvada, Wheat Ridge area from ABC Homeschool Support Group. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about supporting homeschoolers. We're going to talk about avoiding burnout and discouragement. And listen, we've all been there. So let's get into it. Alexis. Oh, wait, I didn't even introduce you as a mom. She's a mom of 5. And I love the way she says that. She and her husband just celebrated their 18th anniversary yesterday, from at least when we recorded this. And sweet. She's got 5 kids, 3 of which are from her heart, as she put it, and 2 of which were from her womb. So really fun, growing family, and homeschool mom since 2019. So we like to say pre-COVID. That makes you the expert, Alexis.
Oh, boy.
So welcome. Thank you so much for being
you.
here. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started homeschooling and how that door was opened to you?
Yes, for sure. Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. So yes, I was, as we call it, the reluctant homeschooler. I was not planning on homeschooling. I had my kids signed up to go to a private Christian school, and they hadn't started yet, but my husband came home from work one day, and I specifically remember I was sitting at the kitchen counter, and he walked in, and I think there was a business partner or someone that he had talked to that homeschools, and he said, "Hey, I think we should consider homeschooling." And I said, "What?" That I was not signed up for that. I was not prepared for that. And I, fought it a little bit, but then I started praying about it and researching it, and I couldn't find a reason not to do it.
Awesome. And are you happy with that now?
Oh,
Obviously.
Yes. It is the biggest blessing. I think the whole theme of that is just stay faithful, right? Especially as Christian moms, if God has called us to something, he's going to see us through it. And it's probably pretty much guaranteed it's not always going to be easy, because we're going to grow in it right alongside our kids. So,
boy, that is so true. I always tell somebody, if you feel like the Lord has called you to something, he gave you a clear word or direction, that's when you need to make sure you write it down, because it's probably going to get hard. And you're going to have to remind yourself, why am I doing this again? So that was so true. That was so good. Okay. Well, how are you as a homeschool support group leader? How did that come to be? How far into your journey was it that you got involved with the support group?
Well, it's been a couple of years now. So, about 4 years into the journey, and it, kind of looking back over being the reluctant homeschooler and how far God has brought me along the way, that now I am in a position where I can help support and encourage other moms who, maybe they're struggling or maybe they're not struggling, but just a place we can come together and encourage and love on each other. Because, homeschooling can often feel isolating. I felt very isolated when we first started. In fact, I specifically remember, because we don't have family around or that have kids my kids' ages, right? And so I thought, who's going to come to their birthday parties, and who's going to be their friends? And looking back over that, God has been so faithful, and I'll tell you, there's never been a birthday party where somebody didn't show up. So it worked out, and that's trivial, compared to what we're really wanting to do in the training of our children. But I just remember that specifically being a worry of mine when we started.
Yeah, it's funny because that is one of the common objections, is sort of that anyway, socialization. What about socialization? Are we going to be alone? Are we going to have friends? Are my kids going to be the weird ones? Those are the things, and it's the easiest one to overcome, because all you have to do is just try it for a little while and you see that's not true, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And it's also God's timing, right? And it's not our timing. So if there are certain things we're walking through, whether we're worried about having friends or play dates, or whether it's academics or whatever it might be, just staying faithful and letting God work through us, right? In his time. Um, because he always shows up, and if we keep showing up, he shows up and he'll work everything out.
Amen. Oh, it's his work. That's so good. Okay, so what at the support group, what are you seeing that is discouraging or hard for the new homeschool mom? What are the things that you're having to help them with?
I think it can be a variety of things, but I think typically the biggest thing is moms feel like they can't teach their kids past a certain point, right? I think because it's kind of ingrained in us, in our culture, like, you send your kid to school. That's what we do. That's how our kids have to learn. But I try to say, or encourage them by saying, listen, you have been their teacher since birth, right? So you can keep going. In fact, I believe that you're their best teacher. You know them inside and out, right? You know their heart. You know how they might learn best. And if you don't, you will learn.
Yeah,
You'll figure
exactly.
it out.
You're in school too.
Yeah. And so I think, just giving moms confidence in saying, you can do this, right? God gave you these kids to train them up. I mean, I think Deuteronomy 6 is like a favorite verse of homeschoolers, but it says train them up in the way they should go day and night, and don't stop that, right? And if our kids aren't with us full time, then how do we do that full time?
It becomes a lot harder. You're right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it really is those untruths that you get to speak truth into, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, and that's another good point, because I hear sometimes people say, well, we want to send our kids to school because we don't want to keep them in a bubble. And I say, well, I do want to keep them in a bubble, but it is a controlled bubble, right? We're still having conversations. My kids are still in the world. They're still seeing, what's people look like when we go to the grocery store or wherever we go, sporting events or whatever, right? Because you see all different kinds of things going on. But then we're able to have those conversations and say, okay, well, what is that? Why does that look like that? And what does God say about that?
Yeah, that's apologetics, really, right? Like being able to understand. There's a book, Paul Little, I think, is the one who wrote it. Know what you believe and why you believe it. I mean, what you just demonstrated is, yeah, I do want to keep my kid in a bubble, but I am preparing them in this bubble to engage in the world that we are placed in, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think it was Natasha Crane. She said, if your kids aren't prepared for adversity to Christianity, then you haven't done your job, right? Like, we have to be having all these conversations with them, and we're not going to do it perfectly, right? And that's another thing I would say to encourage moms is, it's pretty much guaranteed we're going to fail in places, right? But God already knows where we fail, and he's going to pick it up. So I trust the Lord with my kids more than I trust myself with my kids.
Yeah. Oh, say that again. That is good. That's good, truly, because that's what it is this fear of failure, this fear of not being equipped, this fear of messing something up that I think intimidates a lot of moms, and it's comparison, but there is a lot of liberty in that. What did you just, how the way you said it was so good. I trust God more than I trust myself.
Yeah, exactly. And there's another quote that I like from John Quincy Adams, and he said, duty is ours and results are God's, right? We just keep staying faithful, and we show up every day for our kids, and sometimes that's messy and ugly. I mean, I've had to ask for grace more times than I can count, but that's also beautiful because my kids see that, right? That I want them to see that humility in me, and hey, I mess this up sometimes, and so do you guys, and we work through those things together.
Yep, exactly. That's the real that we need to see. Yeah. So good. I love that. Well, let's talk about some practical things that you do, or do you have something that you've developed over time that helps you not get to that place of believing the lies that we whisper to ourselves, some of the things we just talked about? Do you have like a ritual or a routine or a schedule or something like that that helps you?
I don't know if I have anything really like a specific ritual I do besides I do try to take time pretty much every morning. I'm blessed in the way that my kids kind of sleep in a little bit. So I usually have time in the morning to be in God's word and, have my coffee, which is a blessing. And I know not all moms have that. In fact, most moms I talk to, their kids are up at, 6, 7 o'clock and ready to go. But if you can just find maybe that little piece of time somewhere in the day, and if your kids are, of the age or, um, they can go to like a quiet space, right? Hey, mom needs quiet space right now too. For the next hour, there's like no knocking on the door, or maybe it's during nap time, whatever it is. If you can just find that piece of time to be with God, really, and He's the one that is going to refresh your soul, because the world tells us we need self care, but Jesus says we need Him, right? And so that word, burnout, I think we replace that for biblical rest, because our culture is like, the more you do, the more you're worth, right? You're busy, busy, busy. But if we just pause and we say, okay, God, what do you have for me? I want to fill my cup with you.
No, that's really good. That is, I think, I don't know if it's just universally women struggle with that. Like, I have to do this, I have to rush and do that. I mean, I just think of Mary and Martha, because I have a tendency to be the Martha running around going, I got to do this and this and this and this. And hey, Mary, get over here and help me, right? Like I totally could see myself doing that. But
Exactly.
I don't know in the order. We recorded a podcast with Brandy Gillum. She's another homeschool group leader and the Rocky Mountain Homeschool Conference coordinator. But she talked about the fact that she needed to build her quiet time into the school day, because life was just so crazy busy. And she's like, if I didn't do that, I was missing out. So,
Absolutely.
so I loved that she, and it's exactly what you're saying. So even for those moms that don't have the children that sleep in, to give her that time, you can still do that. You can still make it a priority, right?
Right. And it may not happen every day, right? And that's okay. But God already knows that. But I think if just your heart posture is, I need to fill my cup with the Lord, right? He's going to provide for you in that, because He knows where we're weary. And in Matthew 11, also, Jesus says, like, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest, right? So I think just if the overall theme and your thinking is going to the Lord, that's going to be the best way that you can fill your cup.
I think it's funny because I call it God math, like taking time away from all the things you have to do to sit and be still with God gives you the ability to get all the things you need to do. Like it just doesn't mathematically make sense that taking time away from the to-do list is the answer, but it is.
Yeah, 100%.
Takes that discipline now. Well, how about you, Alexis? Have you had a moment where you needed to like refresh or get some encouragement or take a break?
I mean, 100%. I think, especially in the earlier days of homeschool, when I was still wrestling with my own self, I have a little saying that I like to tell our moms, that if you want to be sanctified, you get married and you have kids. But if you really want to be sanctified, you homeschool your kids. So
That's so true.
right. But especially in those early days, I recall like just having to go to my bedroom and I'd shut the door and I would just cry, because I'm like, I am not doing this right. I'm messing this up. Like I can't figure out, how to do things best for my kids. And, it's just, as I look back over that, it's kind of a beautiful process though, because I see how much that I've grown. I've seen how much my kids have grown, and we've done it together, right? So that's a blessing.
It's so good. I don't know if we said this on this interview or just outside in other conversations, but you said I had to learn to die to myself originally. And so what was it? Was there a little bit of like, I just want to go have coffee with my friends and have zero responsibilities? I mean, what were the things that you were wrestling with at first?
I think that was it, because I remember when my kids were supposed to go to school, because raising your little ones, right, from a baby until they're school age, quote, school age, is a lot of work, right? And you can grow weary and tired. And I just remember thinking, oh, I get me time back, right? I can go to the gym, or like you said, have coffee, or, um, and so I think, yeah, just losing those pieces of myself. And I am so thankful to God that I did, because this journey that I'm on with my family is like such a blessing. And I know to the world it looks silly because I have a lot of mom friends that my kids play sports. And so a lot of their friends that they see a lot are public school kids. And those moms, just recently, a mom said to me, so if you ever want to go get coffee, like your kids are just with you? And I said, well, yeah, if, my husband's not home, yeah, they just come with me. And she's like, how do you do that? How do you have them with you all the time? And my heart kind of breaks because, and even like we're coming off a summer break, right? And I heard a mom say, man, I'm so tired of being camp director for the summer. I want my kids to go back to school. And it's just like, there, I just feel like you guys are missing it, right? That time with your kids, because time is a thief, and our kids are going to be grown up before we know it. And while it's difficult, and some days are long, like they say, the days are long and the years are short, right? And we get that time with them, which is so amazing.
It is so true. And it's back to that God math, because I can relate to that. Of course I can relate to that. Like, yeah, I want the Instagram lie. Really, I think it's a lie culturally that you're going to be the happiest if you outsource being a mom and you outsource all these responsibilities so you can, have me time and focus and self-care. And you said that earlier. Yeah. And it is a lie, because the truth is, when we do die to ourselves, that's when there came this sweetness of the family relationships and this growth, the sanctification that you talked about. This is not you being a martyr and going, oh, I'm flogging myself for the sake of Christ, right? There's actual joy in this.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
so good.
100%. I couldn't imagine spending my days without my kids in them. I even remember we attend a co-op, and well, co-op is cooperative, right? So the moms show up and they help. And when I first heard that, I thought, what? And I have to go to that too and help? Like, I can't just drop my kids. But now it's like, I want to go with them. I want to be part of that, right? Because we're just used to that in our
Yeah.
lives and our day. So
Yeah, I'm excited to see it, because I think in a lot of ways, not to go down a whole other rabbit trail, but I think feminism has kind of lied to generations now that said, you don't matter unless you have a title or you make X dollars or you made some corporate contribution. But it was the founder of Momco who I heard her talking about it, and I was like, that is so exactly it. She goes, go look at the cemetery and read the tombstones. And, we have the born, the dash, and then the end, right? So our dash is this little bit that we have that really does. You said it. The days are long, but the days are long, but the years are short. It just is so quick. And you know what the tombstones don't say? They don't say CEO of this company, founder of this business. They say beloved wife, beloved mother, beloved son, whatever. It's the relationships that matter. And they're the only thing that we really can take with us to heaven too. It's the only thing of eternal value, right? The life that we're pouring into. So I'm excited because I see the homeschool movement as redeeming that. There's so much beauty in this that we have been lied to as being told that it's oppressive and controlling and you don't have this great life, because that's not true.
oh, that's so good, Kasia, because I mean, the enemy is the best at that, right? He takes like a little bit of the truth, but twists it with a lie. And so it's like, oh, well, if you just stay at home and have kids. And that's another thing I do with my daughter too, because I think, probably all of us with little girls, we see how they naturally play with their dolls, and they just have these like natural instincts. And so I like to draw that out as much as possible. And I'll say, just speaking life into that, and you're going to be an awesome mom one day. And, I just speaking life into that to kind of be countercultural, right? So she knows it's okay. Like, yeah, I want to have kids. I mean, the Lord tells us, like, you go and you leave your mother and your father and you have a family, right?
And it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Yeah. My children are adults now. So I can tell you, I have a 30-year-old and a 28-year-old. And it was so fun. I wish I could homeschool again. I mean, my grandkids are starting this journey, so I loved homeschooling. But I do remember that, like, it's just, I don't want to have anybody feel like, well, I still struggle with that feeling and that's terrible. I still remember that, having that like, well, I want to do something that matters. And my husband, he hates this phrase that I say, but basically I said, I don't want to be a big, fat, happy Christian. And what I mean by that is I don't want to just live for only my pleasures. I want to have an impact on the Lord, and I want to serve for eternal purposes. And sometimes I have this like idea that it needs to be like a Billy Graham thing, but evangelizing and training your children is the best thing that we can do. It's the best impact that we have on our kids. Spiritual impact is from within the home. That's the first indication of what a child is going to do, right?
100%. And, I love that you say that too, because my son is 11 and he's kind of at the age where I start to see the heart a lot in issues, right? But the beauty of being with our kids is, say we're doing, book work, but then there's a heart issue, right? I want to stop the book work and say, whoa, wait a minute. What is your heart saying here? Because that's what they're carrying with them into adulthood. And that's the whole purpose, I think, of what we're doing is discipling our kids, right?
Yeah, it's the thing that matters the most, right? Yeah, we are going to have gaps. And that is funny because it's one of the fears that moms have is, well, I can't teach them. And why do we do this? A new homeschool mom who's starting with a kindergartner, first grade, or second grade, or whatever, a young elementary age. And they're like, I'm never going to be able to teach them calculus. And I think that's hilarious because one, not every student needs calculus. And two, when you get there, you get there. Let's not borrow tomorrow's trouble, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'll be honest, I was not the best student in school. I was more concerned about what shoes I was wearing or how my hair looked or whatever. And my mom and I laugh about it now because, I'm like, from that girl back then to now homeschooling my kids. But I mean, I redeem my education every day, which is amazing. And I love having that opportunity. I get excited about things, and my kids are like, Mom, it's like not that exciting, right? But I love, learning alongside them. And now there's so much curriculum available to us, and it's not that hard to learn. And, if you are in community or I'm blessed to have a husband that is academically a lot smarter than me. So I'll just phone a friend. Hey, Dad, we need some help.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and even if you can't phone a friend within your home, you can phone a friend somewhere. I mean, there's so many resources now.
Right. Absolutely.
Do you find that that's kind of one of the things that can lead to overwhelm is how many choices there are looking here, there, and everywhere?
Oh, well, I mean, sure. I think it definitely can be overwhelming. And, it's okay if you have a curriculum choice and it's not working, right? You can close it and try something else. But yeah, it's also important, I think, also with social media, right? And these picture perfect moms or homeschool, and they look like they're doing it all so perfectly. We have to keep our eyes on the Lord, right? That's one of the prayers for my kids is, please, Father, help them keep their eyes on you and not on the world. It's like you have to have the spiritual blinders on, right? And you stay on your path and your journey in God's time, and you keep your eyes focused on him, not on everything else.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That makes me think of the Bible verse where Peter was talking, or Jesus was talking to Peter, and he tells him, you're going to be sifted. It's going to be hard, but I prayed for you. And then he goes, well, what about him? Peter says, well, what about him? And he's talking about John. And Peter was like, well, what is it to you? This is totally Kashia's translation, but that's exactly where we get discouraged or like from 1 Corinthians where it says, if the toe should say, I want to be an eye, like we are all called for something different, and our children are called for something different. And so that is what we have, the beautiful thing of being able to do as a homeschool family, is customize their education, help them seek out what God has called them to do so that they can walk with boldness in it, right?
Oh, 100%. I think that's really important for young homeschool moms or moms that are just starting out, right? Because you may have a family and they're like speaking 4 different languages and taking piano lessons, and they're always dressed perfectly, and you're like,
Right.
I'm just trying to feed my kids breakfast over here.
They
So
came in with Cheerios stuck in their hair,
yes.
Yeah.
So, and that's okay, right?
Uh-huh.
Because that's where you are in your journey, and you just keep staying faithful with that. I think if, a big takeaway, I hope, of encouragement today is stay faithful in your journey and what God has called you to.
Mm-hmm. Boy, that's it. You could summarize everything as just the only thing that matters is the audience of one. What does God ask you to do? He's going to equip you to do it, and just do it one day at a time. And you're going to have days where you have to go in your room and cry. And,
Maybe.
and that is okay. Yeah. I tell a story of when my son was younger. He was a reluctant reader. My daughter, she read so easily, but getting my son to read and engage in it was very, very hard. Like, we went through several different reading programs, and I remember he's 7 at this point and not reading great. Like, he could read the cat in the hat, like those simple words, but it just was torture. And I ended up in the principal's office at the local school. I literally did. I showed up at the principal's office crying, and I said, what do I have to do to get my kid in here tomorrow? Because I felt like a failure. And anyways, the principal was sweet. She sent me home, which I feel like, I don't know if that would happen today necessarily, because there's kind of an animosity growing. But she said, Mom, you're having a bad day, and if you feel like this tomorrow, let's talk. But I went home and I pulled out my planner, which was like it was literally a student planner that I use for lesson plans. And in the front of it, I put my vision statement. And it was just a list of the things and why I was doing it. And I had to speak to myself. Like, it was a rough day, and I felt like a failure because my son wasn't my daughter, really. It was that whole thief of comparison. But anyways, that was a rabbit trail. My whole point is, you're going to have days like that where you are having to remind yourself. And that's why I love support groups. I feel like if there's something that every homeschooler needs to be involved in, co-ops, enrichments, all those things are fun, and you can do them. You can also do them too much. But every homeschooler should be in a good support group where they're going to have people who will remind them what they already know. And will say, what was it that God asked you to do? Do you have a vision statement? Have you written it out? And all Alexis, it's very clear the Lord has gifted you to be a support group leader. So good. You're awesome.
Thank you, Kashia. I appreciate that. I love doing it. And, I also love what you said. You said sometimes we can do too much. And that is, one thing. If you're feeling overwhelmed or there's just too much going on, it's okay to just clear your plate and say, what is heavy, right? What can I get rid of? And as homeschool moms, we put so much pressure on ourselves and carry around, I've got to do this perfectly, right? But you don't, and you don't have to do every single activity or every extra out there, right? Sometimes you just clear your plate and stay at home, and you say, oh, okay, this is working. Now I can add this in. Like, be protective of your schedule so that you as a mom don't feel too burdened down with too much on your plate.
Yeah, that's really good practical advice. You're the gatekeeper of your own schedule.
Yes.
Good job. All right. Well, gosh, look at the time. It's already almost 30 minutes. I can't believe it. So we're wrapping up every interview by asking our guests what is their best homeschool tip, like relating to this or otherwise. Do you have a good tip that you would leave us with?
I think that we are all sinners, and so we are all going to fall short, and God already knows that, and He's going to pick up the pieces. So just trust Him and stay in the Word.
Amen. That's a great way to end it. Well, thank you for being with us, Alexis. We're going to put her bio in the show notes and a link to the ABC Homeschool Support Group. If you're in the area, you should go meet Alexis in person. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Kashia.
Thank you so much for joining us today. The Colorado Homeschool Podcast is a ministry of Christian home educators of Colorado. We have been motivating parents to disciple the next generation by embracing home discipleship that is Christ-centered, parent-directed, and free from government control. We invite you to join us in this mission. If you want to support homeschooling in Colorado, go to check.org/donate. In the meantime, share this with your friends and make sure you subscribe. That really helps us. Thank you.
Brought to you by thepodcastupload.com, empowering faith-driven voices.